Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here to talk about The Amazing Race Canada Season 8, Episode 5 with Jonathan. Jonathan's my co-host today. How are you, Jonathan?
I'm good. Amazing Race is one of my favorite shows in general, reality shows, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Why is it one of your favorite reality shows? Is this the first time we've ever talked about The Amazing Race together?
I think so. This season for sure. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's usually really go 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 with a lot of drama. A lot of things are happening. I'm all about competition, so the kind of little things in between in other shows that you see, you know, I'm okay with doing without like the romance and the other things that I'm like, let's just get to the
Jonathan.
competitions. Let's get to the I want to see people pushing themselves to the limits. And the Amazing Race is like start to finish, it's a race. So yeah.
I mean, I definitely love the go, go, go energy of The Amazing Race. I have to say that so far this season, I haven't felt that go, go, go energy
Yeah.
until this episode. This episode felt really jam packed. It had a lot of, it had a roadblock for each, like everybody had to do something. Like there's a lot of elements to this particular episode, and it felt full. It felt like there was places where people could catch up or overtake, which I liked. I thought it made it more dynamic.
Yeah, less like yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet at all, but this season is such a disappointment for me because it is so like, oh, I feel like it's COVID again. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's just, I mean, we're still in a pandemic, but it's just it felt very restricted. And I know they're staying in Canada. They're not going to other countries. I don't believe we like I think season 1 was like that, and then since then they've,
Like
will
half
go
and half.
yeah, they'll go for a couple legs elsewhere, and I miss that, and I feel like I don't know the logistics of it, but I mean, I do feel like they could have picked somewhere that's very open, that you know what I mean, that you wouldn't have to worry too much about anything, and you could have visited and still made it more worldly than just staying within Canada because we see a lot of like at home advantage in Canada, and I don't love that. I
Mm.
also don't love. Um, Yeah, I mean, just
It
anyway,
it also for me seems a little bit more like arts and crafty, or like the challenges. And so I find that the ones that are in other countries, because I'm not familiar with, like, I've never been to India, so I've never been to any markets in India, so that would just be a culture shock and something that I'm not familiar with. It seems like everything for the most part it's like makeshift activities, makeshift roadblocks. Like, I don't know, dressing a hot dog, dressing a sandwich, like counting apples,
and
like,
I mean, and it would be like not fine, but it would be like more understandable if they were like super careful and COVID didn't touch them, but it did in a
yeah.
bad way too. And I don't like, and I work in, I know this. I like there's a show of mine right now that might go down because there's the one of the leads has COVID. There's 12 active cases on set. I mean, like there's it's and I work on a lot of shows that have this problem, but they're able to overcome it. So I just to have such a problem with their A cast, their main cast, which is the players, um, in and yet they're doing it very safely by staying in Canada, doing it in very open spots. I'm like, how does this happen? So
I
it's
really
really
don't
it's
get
been a
it. So maybe they have people coming, like they don't have a set crew. Like maybe in each area they're getting new crew for, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe they don't have people traveling with them and as
but
their
but they
crew.
but they do, like Michael Yerxa, like we know some of the people who, are producers on it and do travel with them as well. I mean, I'm sure there's local crew that they hire where they go,
I think that that must be the
but
part of it, is the
yeah,
local crew that is not, you don't know exactly what they've been doing necessarily. But I agree with you. If we're gonna be staying in Canada, like nobody better get
get
COVID.
it together.
Like
No one's looking for it. I understand that, but it's at the same time, I'm just like, oh, really? We're gonna switch up all the teams, give all these teams a second chance, and then lose all like some of our favorites, perhaps. I'm like, it's that season was fine. We already had that been there when you literally couldn't do anything, you know. But how are we not past that? Like, I don't.
I know, I totally agree with you. I remember when that happened a couple weeks ago, you're like, "What? I'm
I
so
know.
pissed. COVID is ruining the season." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agreed
Like,
with you though.
people need to
So
be fired over that. Like, it's like you need to have people on lock, and I know how careful they are on set. That's why I feel like I can speak on this behalf. And it's, you can't people go home on like TV shows and stuff and do whatever they want and then come back, and that's how that happens. But like on a lock set like this, like that's not happening. The crew, even the crew that's traveling with, like they're not going off and doing necessarily what they want. They're working
yeah,
long days and they don't live there. So it can
like,
be very contained in this type of a show.
is it getting it
So,
from restaurants? Like, I don't understand personally,
yeah.
like, how it's happening, because I've worked on a lot of sets too, and pretty strict protocol. Like, the day before, or 2 days before, you get a COVID test. You get a COVID test as soon as you get on set. Like, every 2 days, you get a COVID test. So the fact
Three
that
teams, 3 teams, not just one, like three. I mean, at what point do you say, like, if it was four, would they be like, we just can't film? Like,
we'll
you
wait
know,
10 days and let you guys get over
yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah, I wish they did that, to be honest with you. I wish they stopped, waited a couple weeks, whatever, and then continued, or just
well,
even paused for
it
several
seems
months.
like that's kind of what they did. Not to jump ahead, but we can. It looks like the preview for the next episode, those three teams are coming back. So I don't know, because it says the first time in Amazing Race history. So I don't know how they're doing this, but what are your thoughts about these three teams coming back now?
I may take the season and throw it in the garbage. And I love The Amazing Race.
Oh my
I
god,
don't
it
say
reminds
that
me of this recapper in the UK. She doesn't like something. She's like, that we're gonna put in that in the bin. Put
in
that
the
in the
bin,
bin.
in
So
the
yes, we're gonna
bin.
put the season in the bin.
Exactly. I mean, just wrap it up and throw it out. I am not for it. It's just not. It takes me so out of the game. It just takes me so out of all of it. Mixed in with the kind of crappier challenges. Um, yeah, but like I said, this episode was a little bit better with the amount of things that were happening. At least,
Mhm.
I was a little worried because it seems like you know they were starting off with challenges that where you like start them, you finish them in the same thing, but then it kind of
Evened out.
it's off a
Or
bit.
like
So
moved
I
around.
was happy for it. Yeah.
Definitely. So they're starting off in Canmore, Alberta. Have you been to Canmore, Alberta?
No, I've not been west of Ontario.
What do you mean you haven't been west of Ontario?
No, I've been to Europe several times. I've been to all over the states. I've never been I've never been west of Ontario.
It's a travesty, Jonathan. What do
I've
you
actually only been Ontario and Quebec, and I've only been Quebec twice, and I've gone nowhere else in Canada. I don't. I
okay,
mean,
this
it
is
doesn't.
it's shocking to me. I mean, I'm not like a super uber Canadian person. I guess I did work as a flight attendant, so that's also opportunity to visit a lot of different places.
There you
But when I was 21, did this cross Canada tour promoting a magazine, and so we started off at yeah, we met in, obviously in Toronto. I think that we went to Montreal and then we flew from Montreal. I can't remember actually the order, but we started like the whole trek in New Brunswick. We're on a tour bus, and then every few days we'd stay in a hotel and tour bus. So it took like 3 weeks to go across Canada. We threw like a Bacardi party in every city. And then like we had like all these activations at the universities, with like PlayStation and CIBC, and there was Dior face stuff. Anyways, so I definitely at 21 visited every main city in Canada.
Yeah, like
So
I had that. I had like a week where I was not working basically my entire life. Like I'm 38 and I've been in my career for 16 years. So it's and then school just before that. So there was one term where I was like, and I went whitewater rafting and things like that. But I
oh,
was just up in Ottawa, so I mean it's not the Ottawa River, so it was Ontario still. But no, I haven't taken much time to visit. With if you're like, do you want to go to New York? Do you want to go to Alberta?
that's also well the opposite for me.
I'm
But
going to New
like I
York.
hadn't gone to New York because I always used to go to Montreal for those quick little chops, right? I was like, I'm just gonna go to Montreal for the weekend. I'm gonna go to Montreal. I'll go to Montreal. It just
Montreal's
was
great.
it was
Montreal's
super
great.
easy, but I never gone to New York up until last or in May. So But I
Yeah, like,
would rather go to New York over
do you wanna
Alberta.
go to LA or do you wanna go to, Winnipeg? Well, I know I'm going to LA. Like, it's like,
I'm There's no reason to go to Winnipeg. I know it's the up and coming music scene is over there, but
I have
I'm not going to
I
the
have a
Peg.
show shooting in Winnipeg right now, so maybe I could visit the set, but, like, no, I don't that's why I don't go anywhere else
It's
again.
not good. I've actually been many times for flying, and it's not great. Even when I was on the tour bus, like doing the prairies, it literally looked the same for like 2 days. It was just so
I'm sure it's, like,
bad.
pretty, beautiful. There's, like, Canada's
Well, not on that
but
Trans Canada Highway.
I mean, not yeah, it's not really for me. I almost had to go, like, to Nunavut for a project.
It's
Like,
fun.
on one of those, like, it holds 2 people kind of a planes, and I'm terrified of flying, right? So, where you get there and, like, a bottle of water is, like, $27, and, I was, like, fully preparing for it, like, right there, and then it got pulled at the last second, but it was really close. I was gonna have to cast locally from there, so.
Ooh, I would have loved to hear about none of it, but we're not talking about none of it right now. We're talking about Canmore, Alberta, starting leg 5, and then they're going to be on their way to Vernon, BC. So we have the boys who, for me, have been surprising. I did not expect for them to be as good as they are. They're quite consistent being in the top of the pack, Brendan and Connor, and they're leaving for Vernon at 2:34 p.m. What are your thoughts about the boys?
They don't make a lot of mistakes. I generally don't like an athletic double 2 men team that are like that, and they're young, so there's a lot of energy there as well, especially compared to the rest of our cast. I just think it's like a very kind of unfair physical advantage. But I mean, in this episode, they didn't do. They had a little hiccup here and there, so that was kind of nice to see for me. But yeah, they're very similar. They're kind of almost the same. I don't know if I can tell them apart, to be
I
honest
don't
with
know who is who, unfortunately, but I haven't tried to figure out who is who, but I don't know the difference
I'm
between the
like,
two of
is
them
he
right
the
now.
older one? Because he's telling him that it's okay. I'm like,
Who's they're older? They're not twins? Like I
yeah,
don't,
right, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who's who. Well, I know one is older. Yeah, you're right, but I don't know who's older out of Brendan and Connor, and I don't know who's Brendan or who's Connor.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they look the same. So sorry, guys, but
I don't know. So surprisingly, almost a half an hour later, is Jesse and Marika. So they're leaving at 3 p.m. 3:09 is Franca and Nella. Jump all the way to 4 p.m. is Tishawn and Cedric. 4:42 is Julie and Kathy. 4:47 is Beverly and Veronica. And at 4:56 is Cassie and Jameek. And they're also going to have a speed bump. What are you going to say?
that is just my favorite thing is starting times. I find
Oh,
it.
I knew you were just like salivating over them, right?
I am. I'm like, it's like it's so good. If they, I feel like there's been episodes. I don't know if it's Canada or the US, but where you don't see it or you don't see everyone's, and I'm so upset about it because I'm like, no, I want to know how they finished last time. Like, I want
Me
to know
too.
what was your editing versus reality. Like, I love starting time.
I know. I mean, I do love Sparting Times as well, but I made sure I wrote them down because I knew that you would appreciate
Yes, so
them.
good, so good.
But no, I also like to see that, like, okay, so Brendan and Connor were 2.5 hours basically faster than Cassie and Jameek. And I don't remember what happened last episode because we had a week. Why did we have a week off? What happened?
It was a holiday somewhere. I'm like, I don't know. It was like it was. I guess it was a Tuesday, so I'm like, I don't.
So there was a holiday on the Monday.
Yeah, but we had that's a civic holiday, so I mean, that shouldn't interrupt any programming. So I have no idea. I have no idea. Was there
I mean,
sport? Was
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it worked out just for scheduling wise. Like I was kind of busy last Tuesday, but like I don't like I don't remember what happened last week.
Yeah,
Do you remember any of the tasks?
you're asking me 2 weeks ago. I mean, there's so much life that has been lived in this head in 2 weeks with
Me
stories
too.
and shows and like everything else. I don't. I couldn't even tell you. I just remember the moment where they were told that they weren't eliminated, and that's
I remember that. Was it
outside of that.
it wasn't a
It's
keep
all.
on
It's also
racing.
because it's like that. That proves my point. it's like indistinguishable. Like a lot of this, like
Mm.
Canada, like where they're going. Like if last week they were in, like you said, India, or if they were in like Sweden, like you would notice the differences and you'd be like, oh yeah. And it would prompt your, but it's all kind of the same to me that
Yeah,
like,
I'm trying to think what they did. I can't believe it. I don't remember. What was in Canmore, BC? Oh, was ugh. Was that where they had the bicycles from the paraplegic bicycles?
oh, and they had to put them together. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
putting them together. No, not the paraplegic ones. Okay, so I see that was
They
the
had to
week
put them together,
before.
right?
But putting the bicycles together because that's where some teams fell to the back and the bird calls. The listen to the story with the bird call. Oh no, that was the week
No, I don't know
before.
if that the putting together wasn't that the last episode. It seems like
I think that was the week before actually.
really.
This
The
is terrible.
paraplegic bicycle was the week before. I feel like that was the week before. I don't
I
know.
think that was week 3 now
I really
actually.
don't know.
So
They're gonna like come for me in the comments. I don't know what happened. I watched it.
I I don't remember either. I am actually completely blanked out. Wait, who was before them? Beverly and Veronica. What did they suck at? They sucked at the horse, tying the knots on the horse. So putting the horse
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
satchel onto the horse
yeah,
and
yeah,
had
yeah.
to tie it
Yeah, maybe
properly
not.
in the
Yeah.
diamond.
Mhm.
Okay, getting closer. Julie and Kathy, what did they do? They did that one, obviously. What was the other thing though? Why did they all suck so badly? But it was definitely at least remember something.
The knots. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
distinctly. Yeah.
So they're all going to be on the same flight to Kelowna. How do you feel about this kind of equalizer right here?
It's happened already in the season, and I don't like it. It's like, what are we doing? I don't like it. They should at least start kind of.
Staggered again.
Yeah, yeah.
Not especially if it's like on one plane, like you should definitely have the same staggered time differences from when you started this leg.
Because I understand, you have to rent this plane, you have to do it yourself, like, because you don't want them mingling with the. I 100% get that. I don't need to see the rush at the airport if you can't have that because of our times. I totally
I mean,
get
I
that.
missed it. I miss it.
Oh,
I
no,
do.
I miss it. But I understand it. But there's no excuse to not have staggered timing, like, and releases and stuff like that. Like, there's nothing. You could absolutely do that.
I guess they're trying to make the people that are in the front of the pack still have to fight for it. It's because like, with the teams that are generally better, like there's generally going to stay in the front of the pack, even if they mess up, if they keep the time staggered. So I guess that's why they stop it.
But I feel like you can have activities that are more like that. Like you can have like I don't mind where you go somewhere. Oh, it doesn't open till 8 a.m. Like that kind of stuff that you see on Amazing Race US. That to me is for some reason more acceptable than like them just being like, no, this is how we're doing it. When
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing
Mhm.
because you don't want to have like the Guido was it what they were called the Guidos?
I think so.
No, or like the couple who were like a day and a half behind in one of the
US
original
seasons.
season.
Mhm.
It's you don't want to have that. So to avoid that, many, 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 many seasons ago, they started doing stuff like that. So I get it, but it's just the way that we're doing it in this season with this version, Canada's version of this. It feels very like no.
I agree. I agree. So they're going to be doing a roadblock. Who's up first? They're going to be paragliding. So if me and you were running the race, who would be doing this one?
Yeah, so I would never bungee jump. I would never. There's a few things I would never do. I'd never jump out of a plane. It's not happening. You couldn't pay me enough in the world. But I would paraglide.
Okay.
I'm terrified of heights, but it's just I don't know. There's something about it that's not that I've
Scary.
gone, yeah, for whatever reason. It's like I've gone, not grappling. I would go grappling, but where you go across the
Zip lining.
zip lining. Thank you. I've done that, and it's just not that terrifying to me.
I
So
don't find it scary at all.
paragliding, I'm okay with that. I would do that for the race.
You would do it for fun.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not doing this for fun. I would do.
Okay, so you're going to be doing the paragliding. So, but first they had to find the Freedom Flight School. And it's going to be a race to the sign up board, like you were speaking of, where they're going to be equalized sort of again, starting at 8 a.m. So at least they have to stagger their start times because only one team or one person at a time is going to be able to do the paragliding. So it will actually kind of equalize a little bit, but still keep it staggered.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that in general, and with the paragliding challenge, whatever you want to call it, like it's element to the race. I'm okay with it, but if they're all like that, if it continued on like, I was like, oh gosh, because it's really like first come, first serve, and then spit you out. It doesn't really. There's not enough dynamic change up for me that could potentially happen. So as we see that things change, which is great because if it was like more or less stuff like that, I was
It's
like,
like,
oh, I
meh.
hate those episodes. Yeah.
Boring. So the order is Brendan is going to be first. No surprise. Those boys have been doing really well all race so far. Nella, Marika, Kathy, Tashawn, Veronica, and Jameek. So it was pretty close to the same order, even though they all had to do all their driving, all that stuff separately. So I thought that that was really interesting. Is that it's kind of how they are, like as racers. Like right now, the boys are number one. Jesse and Marika are number two. Like Fernella is number three, and so on and so forth. So I think that that's interesting. That even getting starting at the same spot after getting off the plane, they still kind of fall in the same order.
Yeah, exactly.
So we see Julie Black. She's always singing with Kathy. She's singing paragliding. And Kathy says, I'm a human kite. So we got the episode title from Kathy. How do you feel about this episode title? I'm a human kite.
I mean, I didn't see anything else that like was like a real standout for like one-liners that you could use as title episodes, but and I usually do listen out for those things. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's I don't think it's a representative of like anything important or what happened in the episode, which you try to kind of get, but it was okay.
Yeah, it didn't encompass the episode for me as well. It's like, oh, that's the episode title already. Like, I thought it would maybe be when she's like, she's runs off and she's like, I'm a human guy, like, oh, something where it's a little bit more dynamic. But it just was kind of in passing with them singing. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess they're just were looking very hard to find something to use as the episode title. Now, have they been doing that for every single episode? I only notice it every once in a while.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure.
Mm. I know a couple for sure, but then sometimes I'm like I forget to look out for it.
Yeah, I know. I
So
usually spot it, and I usually kind of, like I said, like wait, like try to like figure out other ones too, because just what I do for fun for some reason. But yeah,
well, you got to make it a game, right? Of course. And so then next though, who has no choice but to do this roadblock? Who's up for a slide? So that would actually have to be me. Now, I haven't skied in forever, but I did I did learn how to snowboard um the March right before lockdown. So snowboarding I think it's harder than skiing and I was able to pick that up. So
I've
I
never done either ever.
you've never ever skied?
No, I'm one of those like two kids in grade 7 and 8 who like stayed home for the ski trips that you have. Yeah, yeah, I was that person.
Have you
I didn't-
snowshoed?
no, I've never done. No, I don't like cold. I don't. Why am I here in Canada? I don't do that. I don't do that. It snows outside and I stay in.
I
Like,
mean, I get that, but it
you know what?
literally.
I've gone curling. It was indoors, but as it is. But I've gone curling.
Have you ever ice skated before?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I can
Okay.
skate, not well. Like there's no stopping. I'm gonna run into you or the boards, but I can skate. I can stay. I can stay on my feet.
Okay, well, I'm glad then that I'm doing this one because I really would be worried for you. How is your shot though? So basically, what they're going to be doing is skiing around a course, and then they have to hit 5 targets. And if they don't do it in a certain amount of ammo, they're going to have to make another lap around to be able to shoot again. So it's a good, like, it's interesting. Most of the people were kind of funny when they weren't very good at skiing. But Jesse is like Olympic skier. Who did it? Brendan? No, Connor seemed
They're my
pretty good.
they're my
Hmm?
favorite team.
Oh, they
Jesse.
are.
Mhm.
I was thinking that about that at the end of this episode. I was the last thing I thought was like, I like those two. I think that I would want them to win. That's what I
Yeah,
said at the end of this episode.
yeah,
So I hear
absolutely.
you.
Um, yeah, I were you asking how my shot is?
Yeah.
What kind of what was that? What kind of gun is that? That's like a BB gun type of thing, or like
Yeah, I
there's no
guess.
recoil. So I mean, I don't know what kind of gun. I don't know my guns, but to answer your question, if there's any sort of recoil, that's I've shot guns before, and it is deceptively harder than you would think. It's like you're like, you're not hitting the target at all. But if it's as far as like a BB gun, which I've also done, I'm like sharpshooter. Like it's so
Oh.
weird that it's so different. But I guess it's the recoil or whatever. I don't understand the mechanics of it, but yeah. So and real guns absolutely terrify me. But I this was obviously at a shooting range, not animals. I would never, and don't do hunting, never. But yeah, I did it once, and I was like, this is so hard to shoot a gun, like so hard. So again, if it's like a BB gun, that's pretty easy to me. And but it was quite far away. Like there was a couple of more establishing shots that you saw, and you're like, oh, that's actually like a bigger distance than them just cutting between the people in the shot that you think it is. So
Yeah, I've actually gone to a shooting range before. So again, when I mentioned that I used to be a flight attendant, so one time my crew we were in Edmonton. Funny that we're talking about like Western Canada, and at the West Edmonton Mall, our captain was such an avid fan of shooting and guns and shooting ranges. Is that he convinced us all to go to a shooting range in the West Edmonton Mall, and so I did go there and like had like the guns are really heavy and like it just to me like I don't feel comfortable holding a gun. Like it was too much power in my hands. Like they're just too dangerous. I did obviously aim at my target. I wasn't great, but I was pretty like I was
what
good.
was his name? No, it's I think that guns are so like to have a gun range in a mall as well would terrify me.
It's Alberta
Um,
though. They're a little bit more gun
yeah,
friendly.
even worse, even worse. But I no, I won't go again. That was like a one time. I wanted to go. I was excited to go, but I won't go again. It's like really unsettling, kind of being there, and
It's an adrenaline that I don't know if I enjoy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it was
gives you a
cool. Like it
fear.
was like intense. Like we're like ah, like it was like a lot, but I don't know if I want that feeling,
And
that kind
the
of rush.
casings come back at you, and they're like hot as and they
Yeah, I didn't get
burn you
hit
and
by any
stuff.
casings,
So
but
I did.
I was like shot. I'll show you. I'll send you the video of me.
Oh,
Like
you have video.
I do have
I have a
some videos.
picture, but I don't have video.
I do. Going to the shooting range. I would maybe do it again, but it was kind of intimidating by how strong. Oh my god, airing this on the wrong channel. Hold on.
You airing
Let's.
this
Do you
one.
know what? Okay, I'm gonna have to upload it after. I just realized that. Or should I add it? What should I do? No, I'll just finish airing it and then I'll just upload it.
You know what?
Um. hmm?
The wrong channel can watch us. It's fine.
But it's like on my hypno channel.
That's fine. They're into it. You don't know.
Never know. That's true. That's true. So I was wondering, like, I'm like, oh, we don't have any friends here. It's probably I'm like, oh, that's why. I'm just noticing now. Okay, so I was watching, like, obviously Jessie is a pro. Franca doesn't know how to ski at all. She kept her knees fully strength. She won't bend her knees. Her sister is saying, um, Connor was pretty fast at it. And then I'm like seeing back over at the paragliding, Kathy going and Kathy being kind of scared. And then she takes a tumble. Like I would be like, that seems a little dangerous. Like not making it off the hill and then
You
taking a
have to like
tumble.
leap, and I know she said it was the wind, so maybe it was, but it felt like she was just like hesitant, and I feel like
That's possible.
it's like when you like rappel as well, and if you're hesitant, you don't like fully lean back, you kind of like tumble off the top a little bit, and yeah, so you just have to really
Jonathan repelling
commit to what you're
Tomb
doing.
Raider over here.
Oh my god, it's so much fun.
I like repelling too. It's not scary to me.
Can I just share my gun range. This is proof right here. Okay,
Oh, look at you. So
there
butch.
it is. So butch.
So
Look at that.
butch. Let's see if I can find mine at the same
My
time.
Laura Croft kind of stance.
Yes. Yes. I'm impressed very much. How long ago was that?
Oh, that was 2014, so quite a while ago, 8 years ago,
I'm like,
2014.
I don't even know where I'm gonna find. Or I guess I'd have to find these in just my photos. I know I had like a memory pop up recently, but this would have been a while ago that I went here. Maybe 2018. No, is
Yeah,
that how long
but
ago it was? I don't know what time is because I don't understand how to measure COVID time. You know,
yeah, true.
like
Speaking
what?
of the guns, though, too, it did feel like it was something like a BB-ish gun because I didn't see any recoil. I saw like people doing really well, especially hitting that type of a target from that far of a distance. It's just a naming thing. So I'm really surprised. Am I skipping ahead? Probably, but I'm really surprised that the guys did so poorly because they're kind of good at everything that's like the
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually exactly where we are. The fact that like Jesse pretty much gets all of his targets, I think on his first try, and we see Connor is there first. He gets three, and then he's going around and he's not able to get his last two, and he keeps on going around and trying again and again and again. So I don't understand as to why he lost his momentum completely. Like, what happened?
Yeah, and it seemed like he struggled with that more than I mean, at least how it was edited, but it seemed like he struggled with it more than any other team did, minus um our little
To
father
Sean and
duo.
Cedric.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was really like I was kind of just frustrated for them. I don't know what they weren't doing or like why he wasn't able to figure out how to like get it together and not lose their lead. Like they started in the first front of the pack and they allowed teams to just keep passing them.
Especially because you got the other three, so it's not like you're doing
Can't
something
do it.
wrong and you can't do any. Yeah, you're not getting any of them, so like something's wrong. It's like no, no, you got three. It's just those last two that you keep having to go. I guess you get in your head and then you start panicking, and then it's just downhill from there, perhaps. But um, yeah, I liked the dynamic of like them not actually being in first for once, and like
Maybe they're
that's
doing it to psych people out so they
um,
don't think that they're like they need to gun for them anymore. Like, oh, they're beatable. And so they can chill now a little bit, maybe.
they're beatable. Exactly.
They're beatable is good as a good thing for other teams. Anyways, not sure what was happening for them to be doing so poorly at this particular task. So they are going to be heading to either Ballin. They're trying to make a word that's not actually pommin. Like it's pum, like bum, like it's apple in French. And so it's not pomme, like just because it's spelled that way in English. And so I was like, the creative team here, I don't know if that would fly in Quebec, like at all.
No,
But pomme, not palm. So, but we're palmin, and even if it's palmin, it doesn't even rhyme with ballin.
yeah. I
And
mean,
so,
listen, you don't have to preaching to the choir here. If the Amazing Race Canada wants to hire me on as some sort of consultant, like by
yes,
all means, because like I there's some polishing that needs to be done, and as far as I'm concerned, so
I would love to know how to get into that because, like, realistically, I agree with you. I like just consult me. I could let you know what's going to work, what would
it,
be good, what would be
it's
enjoyable to watch.
yeah, it's really like the people that I know are in it actually come from casting, but like or reality based. Some of the producers I know in reality come from even just like you know segment producers that started off with just shooting segments, and then they became the producers of the segment. Then it led to bigger elements, and now one of them's a executive producer or senior producer on Drag Race Canada, and the other one comes from commercial casting, and so it's a lot of reality um, based elements that and then they kind of lend itself. So commercial is they do real campaigns and stuff like that too. So it's a lot of that real people casting. Same with if you're producer on any of those or segment producers and stuff. they all kind of stay within that, and that's where the pool of crew people and come from within reality television in Canada anyway.
Okay, found one. This is one video.
You look a little terrified.
We were so scared. Okay, and then let's.
See, but it's good that it's like indoors as well because mine was outdoors and I felt like and there were like skeet shooting and things like that and I just felt like wild bullets can be happening anywhere, so it terrified me. Oh, are you hitting the target? How are you like
I'm hitting the actual board, but not like directly on the target.
No, I was a terrible shot, I feel like.
Is this the same one? I don't know if it's the same one. Oh, light them up! That's the same one.
It's like super cool when you see it in like a movie or something in
Right?
person. I'm like, get me out of here.
That one was scary. We were both so scared. It's a bit intense. I'll see if I have a picture of the actual target after. Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, it looked kind of badass, but like it wasn't my. I won't be hanging out with the NRA. I definitely
Terrifying.
probably won't be holding a gun, and other than like a prop gun for a movie.
Yeah.
And even then, of like we hear what happened on Rust set, and that's terrifying.
Yeah,
Too.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't think I could do that in a scene if I was an actor. Like I would be terrified. I mean, it killed someone behind the scenes anyway, but I mean, like I would be terrified in general. I'm against guns. I don't like guns. I'm
Oh,
not
I do
for
have it.
not for any of it.
So this was my that was my shots.
That's pretty good.
So
Oh, you're
I light him up,
letting
light him up the side of his
these
face.
little aliens. You got one like in the neck.
Yeah, it was in purpose.
But but I'm just like terrified of guns.
This is actually not a bad shot. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I hit the paper. Like
And
that's pretty good.
That's your first time.
Yeah, first time.
Right.
I could get good at it for sure.
That's good.
For sure. So which one would we be choosing here? Ballin' or bombing? Bombing.
Um,
How are you with lawn bowling?
I wouldn't know, but I mean, I would think like generally speaking, like lawn darts, curling, I was half decent at. So I mean, I don't know. I'm like generally like decent at things, so I would never think I would do terrible. Um, but yeah, what
I
about you?
think though I mean I don't do terribly usually at things either. But I think that the pies would be better to do because basically you have to make 5 Davidson's pies. You have to chop up the apples and put the lattice on with the crust.
Yeah.
It seems like something
So
that you can bang out quickly and that you don't have like chance doesn't come in to
yeah,
play.
I blinked for a second when they were like, maybe I was just salivating over the apple pies, but I was,
They did
um,
look good. It made me think of like maybe I want to make an apple pie.
no, I can't eat apples, but unfortunately, but it's, but I was like, I really want it really badly, but I was looking at it and I missed some of the instructions. I was like, wait a minute. So what are they making the dough? Like, what are they like? How intensive is this? Because baking is very precise. I'm good at baking, but I just follow directions well. And so,
They just need to prepare them.
yeah, and I'm like, "You're not sticking in the oven." I knew that, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty easy because that's like if you had to like literally bake it and then like
Mhm.
wait that whole time and then like
Mm-mm.
make sure you don't have a soggy bottom or there's other things or like weigh
Mm-mm.
down the or like are you pre-baking the crust or like all those elements to it." I was like, "That is more dynamic and entertaining," and like, but I knew they weren't doing any of that, even though I didn't really hear the instructions because the other task was presumably like rather quick, so I knew it
Yeah.
wasn't like something super long. So I was like, "What are they doing?" They're just like rolling it and shaping it and then
They're
just putting
basically
cutting it. Yeah,
preparing it to be put in the oven.
yeah, I would do that. because it's
Yeah,
easy.
easy. And, like, you can tell, like, what you need to do, like, with a game, like, having to there's always variables, right? Like, it could the person that you're playing against could have their ball in a precarious position that is a challenging lawn bowl, you know? And so, I would take the pies just because you can just bang them out quickly and just do a good job. So,
Yeah, or you can pick the team that's like the world champion
right.
'90-year-olds of lawn bowling, you know what I mean? Like, you just
Yeah.
don't know, so there is more variables, you're right, yeah.
So yeah, I would be agreeing with you, and we're making some apple pie. We do find out the speed bump that Cassie and Jamaica are gonna have to do. So they're gonna have to keep calm and sort on and basically sort a bunch of different ski boots. I believe there's about 100 pairs or 50 pairs of ski boots that they have to organize in pairs. Seems pretty easy.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
did it pretty quickly, it seemed.
I was just thinking, I'm like, they are their own speed bump, I don't think that they need one. Having said that, like, look where we ended up at the end of the episode, they did much better than anticipated, but the first half of the episode, I was like, "They're gonna be out." I
That's
mean,
oh, me too. I was like, what's the point of giving them the speed bump? Like, I don't think that they're going to overtake any teams.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking going into it. I was like, "We don't need them to have a speed bump, thank you." It's like,
They'll be
we're okay.
fine. So we do find out that Julie Black graduated from a law enforcement academy of some sort, and she passed the firearms portion.
Okay, okay,
What?
let's put a pause on that for a second.
What?
Where did she
Was it Sheridan?
graduate?
I didn't really hear it. Did you? What does that mean? Why I don't know anything about it.
Um, I don't know how to say it without like seeming like that person,
Be
so I'm
that
not gonna
person.
say it. But
Okay,
it's
say
like
allude.
like when like there's high school, and then so in Canada there's high school. You can go to college or you can go to university. Two very different things. Um, Sheridan's like what Sheridan's like what people who like barely graduate high
Okay,
school.
so Sheridan
Like in the
College
middle.
is kind of like get some extra credits if you want to maybe apply to a university or actual college program.
Right, or don't do anything and just bide your time.
Get like a
But, like, you know,
get a
it
diploma of some
it's
sort.
yeah, like, it's not, like, a
How
real thing for me. Like, it's yeah, it's not college or university and or even close to it for me. So,
Gotcha. I don't really know anything about it, what or at all. Because I don't even really know what colleges are in Canada.
well, I mean, like, Ryerson used to be a college, you know,
Right, that's what I was thinking. Right now, it's
um,
it's
that's
considered a
college.
university, so
Yeah,
no.
but it's they're
George
more
Brown, is that a college?
yeah, they're
More
more than
art
just
space
trade
kind of
schools, but it's like
usually. They have interesting courses usually.
it's usually thought of as more of a like a you go into them for trades, but that's like I feel like slowly changing as well because there's but yeah, it's different. But I when she was like Sheridan, I was like okay, I
Jonathan.
was like that's I know right. It makes me seem like all snobby, but I was just like it's just not real to me. It's like if someone's like oh I'm like a you know a, I don't know like a health and I can save lives and I've done this and they took like a weekend course somewhere. It's like it's not you know what I mean? Like it's not they didn't go to medical school.
Is
It's
it
like
kind
that.
of like Nicole from The Challenge? How she says that she's a fireman, but she actually is a volunteer fireman?
Right. It's along those lines, exactly. But like if you were a volunteer fireman for like a weekend or the
Well,
summer.
yeah, I think hers is
You know what
just
I mean?
very, very sporadic. Anyways, well, she graduated from some sort of law enforcement program and passed the firearms section. But she has no cross country skiing skills. But she wasn't that bad, and her shot was good. Which I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, the school may
Good
suck, but her shot was not bad.
good shot. I definitely think she was like middle ground of like how everyone did with the skiing or whatever cross country. So yeah, not bad.
So Cassie seems to have a better shot than Cedric. I don't remember when the boys left. So the boys still seem to leave in third,
Word.
but like I didn't register when they actually left. Because I believe Julie was in 5th place when she left. Who was in 4th then at that point?
Was it the girls?
It must have been the girls.
I think it was the
Yeah,
girls.
it was the girls. And so yeah, Cassie has a better shot than Cedric, and she ends up passing to Sean and his dad, which I was like, man, like I want to be rooting for Tashawn and Cedric, but like they're not good at this race. It's so frustrating. Like I haven't seen them hitting their stride at all. Like, oh, this is something I'm really good at, or
I
they go to
know
their
and they really ticked me off at the end of this episode. But before we
Mhm.
get there, it's like, yeah, when I watch them, I'm like, I don't expect them to be good at because they haven't been at things. But I mean, they're still in it, and I watch them. I'm just like, how are you father and son? You look like so young. I'm like amazed. I'm like, you know, but but yeah, I don't expect them to be great at anything, and watching them do this, I felt bad because uh, I was rooting for them.
Mm.
No longer after the
I had
episode.
a feeling. I had a feeling that things might change. So Beverly and Veronica, as well as Julie and Kathy, are going to be making pies. Um, and so I said, "Wow, Connor and Brendan fell behind, but then they still were able to pass Jesse and Marika at the lawn bowling." So that's why I'm saying, like, if somebody can overtake you at the lawn bowling, it might not be the task to do because they lost a big lead. It seems Jesse
Yeah,
and Marika.
and I think if they did the apple pie, and you never know for sure, but if they did the pie, they would have been easily in first,
I
easily.
agree.
Yeah.
So next they're going to be going to a cherry farm. And so they have to figure out how many cherries, pounds of cherries. So there are going to be 548 trees, 31 pounds per tree. And so they're going to have to do that math. Simple math. The hardest part obviously is going to be
Like
counting.
when you say simple, I can't underline, highlight, bold. Like I don't know if people just like, oh, who can't do math well, they're just like, oh, I'm not like they don't pay attention to what kind of math it was because pay attention, folks. This
It's
is like
simple.
grade 4 math.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
very easy.
it's
And
I
they
mean,
instead they didn't have to do it in their head. They had a chalkboard.
and I used to teach. So I taught grade 1. So I mean, and grade 3. So it's really simple math. And not only that, we have the guys who one of them said he teaches math for 6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8, that's all like isn't that like parabolas and like, the train leaves the station at a certain time and they throw a ball at the same time. What's the arch
You're
like
gonna
point?
hear like integers and things like that. I mean, like,
Integers are easy and
but it's
any
like,
like
but this wasn't that.
I know.
'Cause- and so for them,
Algebra's harder, I guess, but I think algebra is the most fun of math because like solving an equation is very fun. But that's nerdy me. I used to be a math champion.
I just didn't understand in this challenge how, and again, maybe I'm skipping ahead, but the boys did like, I'm not putting the zero. I'm like, that is so basic. How are you like?
I don't even know how he's doing it with not putting the oh, like he doesn't move the space over.
No,
I mean, it's just something that's so natural. I don't even put the zero in. Like I just
you
move
just
the
shift
space.
it
Yeah.
over and then add them. It's like but that is just so. It's like I can't get out of the building. Oh, why? Because I haven't opened the door. Like it's just so like how like that's the first I could not, and I don't do math, and I'm not like I took like general math in high school, then advanced math, but like I've been back and forth with math. I took advanced math throughout elementary school and whatnot, but it's I'm fine with it, but it's just like that is so basic to me. I was like, it's so embarrassing. You teach math and you can't do the simplest,
But, like, and I would be able
of math.
to be fine with it if they had to do it in their head. Like, if they didn't have a chalkboard, then I could be like, "Okay," like, I could see it being a little bit more challenging having to just
Not for math teacher for me, but like sure, at least
right?
sure.
Because, like,
Like
you'd be like you'd have to, like, really well, actually, how I'd probably do it, would do it together, but, like, "Okay, I'm gonna do the first line, I'm gonna remember that one, you do this one, and then we're gonna add it together," and so we just to keep it on track, and then, "Okay, we're gonna add the first column, it's this one, this" and you know what I mean? We would do it together as I think if we did not have I like a chalkboard, but that's always the hardest part of like the challenge is like people can't do simple math in their head, but just like write it down. If you write it down, all math becomes very, very easy.
Yeah, I know. That's why that I didn't understand
You
how
can
math.
actually even do this pretty easily in your head. You can just do like 548 times 30 and then plus 40, 548 too. Like it's not even actually hard to do in your head.
Not hard. It should have like and I'm not great at math. It should have taken them. I can understand if you're not counting the trees correctly. Like
Right.
to me, that was supposed to be the challenge, was like screwing up on counting the trees, but it ended up being the opposite. It was the simple math was the challenge. Yikes.
So yeah, Brendan and Connor though on their way to was it before or after the trees? I don't even know. But they fell behind. Yeah, they fell behind getting to the trees, I believe. Is that what happened? Yeah. And then Jesse and Marika, though, they actually were pretty quick at the cherry answer. It seemed like they got it pretty quickly. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're going to be going to the Predator Ridge Resort for the pit stop. So yeah, Brendan and Connor are still they finally got to the cherry picking orchard, and Frenella ends up leaving before the boys. So like the boys definitely caught up, but then lost their lead again. Like they definitely, this was a rough leg for them, for sure. So then Julie and Kathy go to the wrong orchard. Like, what is happening with Julie Black and her friend Kathy? They are really bad at this race as well. Like, I want to be rooting for them, but like, why do they do so badly at so many things?
I don't know. And like I know we haven't gone through their full journey of how badly they did yet because I have things to say, but yeah, I mean, at least it was like, you're calling it an orchard and you're looking inside a building. I've never seen an orchard inside a building before. Oh, they're not open. Like, are you kidding me? Like you're like, and then they like are verbally saying it's like the orchard. No, we went to the wrong one. They moved. I'm like, you don't move. Like, no, no, no. You were looking in a building. Like, if I showed up somewhere and I'm like orchard, and I see a big Costco sized building, I'm like, we're at the wrong spot.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
gotta
running.
go.
I'm not running up to the doors and being like, they're closed. It was just so wild to me, and I understand you're tired a bit. I mean, like, it didn't seem like it was anything was that. We've seen legs where people pass out because they're so exhausted and there's no water and the heat because they're in like and like they might be in a third world country and it's the crowds and the everything, and this isn't that bad. I mean, like, it didn't seem like anyone was physically like at their wits end with things. So I don't know, they just were not good.
Yeah, just not good. Not good. So basically, the order of people getting to the pit stop, we actually did have Jesse and Marika. The boys got lost there right after they left the orchard.
Yeah,
Right,
they
is
went
when they
15
overshot it.
minutes. They fit by 15 minutes. Yeah,
But how did they were fine getting to the orchard though, correct?
I believe so. I think it was afterwards when they were
And
getting
then they
to.
sucked at the orchard to allow Jesse and Marika to
Yeah,
leave. No, they left first, didn't they? Yeah, they lost their lead. They ended up leaving the orchard first. Yes,
the
sorry.
boys did.
The boys did,
I don't have it written down. I don't
I
remember. I
believe.
just
And
remember
then
their math was terrible, so they were stuck for a while.
but I
But
think they still left first, and then Marika and Jesse left second, but then when they
oh, you're right.
overshot it,
You're right,
then
because I remember thinking like, oh, even that overshot's not going to deter them from coming in first again, and then yeah. But I was thinking that. Yeah, so you're right.
so that is exactly what I was thinking, is that the boys are still going to be in first place. Like 22 minutes overshot, that's not that big of a deal when it seems like people are not great at simple math. But we were wrong. Jesse and Marika finally overtake the boys and get a first place. So they win a trip for two to London, England, and $2,000 from Marshalls. Have you been to London, England?
Yeah,
Me too.
I
And
have.
have you been to Marshalls?
In London, England. No, I'm not in London, England, but I've been to
You
Marshalls and I've been
think
to
you
London.
spent in your lifetime $2,000 at Marshalls?
No,
Me neither.
I haven't.
I don't know
I'll
if I've
go.
made it to the $100 threshold there.
Yeah, I'm more a Home Sense than Marshalls.
Fair. Yeah.
Um,
That's
but
right.
I go to Marshalls and I'll like, whatever. But Home Sense is just more I go in the pet section. I don't know.
I do love Home Sense. They have so many good throw pillows, Just yeah,
It's
me
good.
likey. So second place is Franella. So Franca and Nella also overtaking the boys. So they must have done their math actually pretty quickly. Because that 22 minutes that they overshot, I guess it would be 40 minutes in the end, actually,
Yeah.
right? Because
Oh
they
yeah.
have to go back. So that
And
really cost them their
those are
lead.
those are my two favorite teams. So I was like thrilled. I'm like, this is good. Yeah, this is what I want. I want those two in the final three for sure.
Agreed. The boys come in third. Beverly and Veronica come in fourth. Cassie and Jameek, who knew was going to be coming in fifth. I thought I was like, I was the whole time. I was like, they're not going to do well in this one. They're not going to overtake anyone. But Julie and Kathy are so bad with directions that they get to the orchard really last. And then Tashawn and Cedric were fighting for the bottom. I thought they're fighting for the bottom with Cassie and Jameek, but no, it turns out that they ended up fighting for the bottom with Julie and Kathy. So Tashawn was at the back. Julie and Kathy finally are counting these trees, and they can't seem to count the trees correctly. Their math is fine, but their counting skills has been off. They were off by many, and then they're off by one. At one point, I would probably just go up a number and go down a number from like whatever you got most consistently, because she got 549, I believe, multiple times. And I was like, why don't you just try one down or one up?
Well, that's the
It's
first thing I would do before counting all the trees again. Exactly.
well, like especially since like it's probably not going to be a round number, so it's not going to be 550. So I would probably go to 548 before I counted the trees again. I think because it didn't seem like they stopped you from like erasing it and trying another
No,
number.
and we've seen before in other Amazing Race US challenges too, where they've had those types of games where you have to like do your math, whatever, and you'll be like or count things and then you don't have to like reset and go back before you submit another one. And people have just changed their number by one and have gotten through. So it's like the thing to do for sure.
At least once. Anyways, so Tashawn and Cedric show up and they decide to just take a penalty and look at the answers from some of the other players and
Immediately, like right away. Like
right away.
without even seeing how difficult the task may be, like immediately.
And so then they took the penalty. They get to the pit stop in sixth place, but they have a 2-hour penalty now. I was really unimpressed because we saw in the car to Sean being like, oh, like, I think I'll be good at math. Like, I think he said he's an economics major, that he used to be a TA for calculus.
Yeah.
And
My,
so,
my theory is like they didn't do it on purpose, at first. So it was like they cheated on purpose, but they didn't realize it was going to cause them a 2-hour penalty like is what I'm saying. Because to talk that much game going into it, to like get ready and then be like, oh wait, we can just look in the basket. They probably took it and was like, oh, here's the number. And then they're like, hey guys, that's a penalty. I feel like someone told them. And they're like, oh, I think that's how it went down because I think they were just trying to cheat the system. And I was like, what do you do? So it's the intention for me because like the intention was to cheat. It wasn't like I can't do this. Let's take the penalty because what's the thought process there? It's like, oh, everyone's ahead of us. Let's take a penalty. Like it just doesn't make any sense and
well, they
hope
were
that happens.
thinking that if they take the penalty really quickly, they would be able to beat potentially the bottom team.
But they had no idea how long that
I
task was
know.
going
I
to
really
got
think
there.
that it was.
I
Uh,
think they cheated on purpose and then realized that they were getting that much of a penalty afterwards, is what I personally think. They weren't like, we're going to take the penalty as you see everyone else does in all the other seasons. They didn't say that. They were like, oh, look, what's in the basket. Let's just see. Maybe they left it. They're trying to be sneaky. That kind of cheating, just in general, like in any sort of game, bye. I hope you go home next because I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
well, and like I think that they could have probably still done okay if they just ran and counted the damn trees. Like,
I mean, well, we saw kind of how much longer that the girls took, and I feel like they easily could have beaten them if they didn't, you know, run into any issues. So if his math's as good as he said it was, then yeah, I think that they would have, without that cheating, they would have easily beat the girls. So
so they got in sixth place. They have a 2-hour penalty. Finally, Julie and Kathy come to the mat. They didn't, I don't think they showed us how much time was left on the counter. They did?
19 minutes.
Oh, so they
Yeah.
had 19 minutes left for us to find out that Julie, by accident,
Did you see it
touched.
though? I saw it.
Was it
Yeah.
not by accident?
No, no, no. It was by accident, but it was like they showed the clip of her doing it before they showed the clip when they were recapping it. They were like, as they were leaving out or before they were solving it, I was like, wait a minute. She just went in two baskets. She just like started like flipping things. Like she was just
Oh,
like the same clip that they showed at the end, they had showed that as part of the episode 5 minutes earlier. And I was like, wait a minute, you can't do that. And then so when they acknowledged it, I was like fully expecting it. Because I was like, yeah,
I didn't see that.
yeah.
So that's also really annoying.
Super annoying. I mean, because the intention's not there, but it's like you deserve to go because you're being sloppy as anything. I mean, it's like you know what the rules are. It's not your basket. It's very clearly you can't go through other people's back. And I don't think they got the number from there. I don't think that it was intentional. I genuinely think, the one had no idea that the other one, Julie had done that. And I mean, I don't even think she was thinking or maybe even realized that she did it. But yeah, it's so silly. So it's such a like kind of like a crappy episode for me at the same time because it's just like who wants to go out like that? And I
I
don't know what
know.
Sean was doing as well. I'm just
To
oh
Sean, though, they looked really, really embarrassed. Like him and his father. I don't know. I was not impressed by that. I was like, like if you're gonna be bad at the bottom of the pack, or unless like you are being like, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get out of here, and like that's kind of like your personality is like I'm gonna cheat and steal and blah, 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 like do what it takes. If
yeah,
that's who you are,
fine.
then
Yeah.
fine. Like I'm not necessarily rooting for you, but like you could be kind of like a Russell Hands. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with that. And that's why I said it's like intention for me. It's like if you got there and like we can't do this or whatever, we're having trouble, or just like, screw it, we're gonna take the penalty and it just felt like he was trying to weasel the system and like cheat and like try to get away with it and not even in like a Russell way. Like be a villain, you're gonna be a villain kind of a thing. It was just like a slimy kind
smarmy.
of
Yeah.
yeah, I just no.
Yeah, because they were trying to still come off across as the hero, but they're being deceitful.
Yeah, such a bad taste it left in my mouth.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that.
And then
I
the
wasn't.
fact that they still stay in the game because of the silly mistake that Julie made. So
Well, and also I'm not rooting for Deshaun anymore. That sucks.
yeah, neither.
Like at all. I'm like,
I
okay,
mean, I have
whatever.
teams that I like, so that's fine. But like, it's different because I'm like rooting against them now because I want their,
Comeuppance.
comeuppance. I want them to get their karma, and it's like you can't play like that. You play like that, and you deserve
Homie,
to go.
don't play that. What's
So
that
yeah, I
from?
mean, it's like, that's from In Living Color.
Thank you.
Come on now. I said I was 38 years old earlier.
I loved In Living Color. We should like do like a rewatch
Do
recap.
what you wanna do.
Actually, none of the jokes would probably go over nowadays, but like
Oh,
it
like
was so
completely
good.
inappropriate and unacceptable? Absolutely, I'm sure. But like maybe Jim Carrey and his like burnt fireman 30
Or
degree.
the
But
girl with the ponytails. What was her name?
look how iconic. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about In Living Color, but look how iconic that is. I'm like J Lo, like Jamie Foxx, like it's crazy, right? Anyway,
Legends were on
yeah,
that show. I was
yeah,
obsessed with it.
yeah.
Well, that is pretty much it for the episode. Was there anything else that happened that you wanted to talk about? Anything else
No,
piss you
no.
off?
Just overall, like, yeah, it was like I was thought it was going to be plain, and then it became interesting, and then such a big
Let
disappointment
down.
because of like cheating, and then obviously a silly, silly, silly mistake. So I mean, how would I have felt if they got kicked out? If uh, it was like reversed and like they made it to the mat in 19 minutes to go, and Julie didn't accidentally like or not, you know, unconsciously like went into someone else's basket.
I would
I
have been
mean,
so excited for them.
yeah, so it would have been much better, and I would have felt like, okay, it's everything happened that needed to happen, that should have happened. So yeah, and then the fact that like they were doing pretty well, and they were able to like get up in the rankings and like and all that kind of stuff as well. Whereas um, the other team that keeps getting eliminated have been saved by so many different things now, and I just feel like I don't know. It just feels like when like someone else was taken too soon, and another
Final
team,
Destination, right?
a little bit of that, right? Like it's just like not fair. Like it feels like that. Not just it is fair, but it just feels like it's like not right. Like we're on some different path that like I didn't sign up for. So,
Right? Not at the beginning of the season, anyways. And it's definitely not going to change because I don't know what they're doing with those 3 teams. So I think 4 teams had COVID, but only 3 teams are coming back, I believe. I don't remember seeing Darrell and Kevin,
I don't know. Like how could
but
you? How is that fair? How do you do that?
I don't know what they're doing. And
You've
I
been
don't know
able
what
to
they're doing.
skip the last several rounds, so it doesn't really matter. But like
I mean,
yeah,
maybe they just bring them back in. Like and have just like elimination, double elimination or something. I don't know. I don't know how they do it, but it's annoying.
yeah, I'm ready to like write off the season. I
Maybe
am.
we'll have to. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, but and
No,
cover
I'm
it,
totally
but
gonna watch it and critique it. But in my head, or my rankings of like worst seasons versus best and all of that, it's like it's not doing great.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, thank you so much for joining me today as we recap this episode. If you guys haven't done this already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment. Let me know what you think about what Tashawn and Cedric did. Are you for it? Do you think it's all fair in the game? They took the penalty, so we shouldn't be thinking of them too harshly. And what about how Julie and Kathy went out by also touching other people's boards, but it was unintentional, seemingly. So tell us what you think about the ending of this episode in the comments below, and we'll continue on with this conversation. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.